guys, my name is Yeti and welcome to another episode of Yettysplash. It's been a minute, I know, right? I've been busy getting married, but anyways, I'm back and I promise to stay consistent, bringing you guys valuable information that can help you relocate abroad, be it the UK, Canada, or anywhere you desire in the world. So on today's episode of Yettysplash, we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic, which is pre-CAS interview, right? A lot of people have gotten admission to study in the UK. September is fast approaching. If you're here to get your admission, send me a DM at yetunde.audition now. Let's get started on your admission process. You know, most schools are filling up. There's still some few slots left if you want to study abroad 2023. So most people will get their admission and some school will require that you answer some pre-CAS question, pre-CAS interview, to take a pre-CAS interview before you can finally get your unconditional offer letter. So I'm going to be telling you the tricks of answering this pre-CAS interview, possible questions you could be asked, and the perfect answer for these interviews. Because for most universities, if you fail their pre-CAS interview, they think you are not credible enough and you might not qualify for a student visa application if you eventually apply, so they'll withdraw the admission. So to avoid that, I'll be telling you some pre-CAS interview questions, most common one that you definitely be asked, and how to answer it. So if this interests you, stay here, subscribe, and don't go anywhere. So for every pre-CAS interview for some university, they will ask you that you have to come with your passport, to identify that yes, you are indeed the person that have applied to study at their university. So if you're attending a pre-CAS interview, you can have your passport, and some will require it, some school will not require it. And I also want to let you know that all pre-CAS interviews are recorded, so you have to be sure that you're mindful of what you're saying, you're certain of what you're saying, because the interview is usually recorded so that the school can go back, play it, and see if you're actually passed. Okay, the very first question you will be asked is usually, why do you want to study in the UK? Now, this sounds like a very simple question, but when they ask you why do you want to study in the UK, they expect you to answer this very simple question 3 different ways. Why would you like to study in the UK? General reasons, you have to give that is one angle. Why would you like to study in the UK and not other top international countries like Australia, Canada, and the US? That's the second angle you're supposed to provide answer for. And the third one will be, why would you like to study in the UK and not your own home country? So if you're from Nigeria, Ghana, they expect you to give reasons why you want to study in the UK and not your own country, right? So if you're being asked by the interviewer, why would you like to study in the UK? I like to study in the UK. Now I'm providing answers, so take note. The first thing is you can talk about the diversity in the UK and the multiculturalness of the country. So you want to say something like the UK is diverse. Please, everything I say here, you have to do your own research to buttress it. I'm just giving you hints and guidance that will help you in answering this question. So you want to talk about how diverse the UK is. You want to say something like the UK is multicultural in nature. It is very diverse. There are lots of international students from different backgrounds in the UK, and this has made the UK a desirable study location for me. Also, another thing that you want to talk about the UK global academic excellence, right? The UK has one of the best when it comes to global education in the world. So you want to talk about that. You can do more research. I think it's second best. You can do more research to buttress your points on that. So you've already given the interviewer 2 general reasons why you want to study in the UK. You talk about the academic excellence of the UK and UK's education, and you talk about how multicultural and how diverse the UK is, right? Another thing you now want to talk about, that means you've ticked the first angle in which you're to answer the question, okay? So the second part will be, why would you want to study in the UK and not your home country, Nigeria? I'm using Nigeria because I'm a Nigerian, right? So you want to say another reason, after you've mentioned these 2 points, another reason why I've decided to study in the UK. Or you can even say, scrap that, let's say something like, although I'm aware of the fact that I can take my master's education in Nigeria, my home country, however, I've decided to study in the UK because Nigerian educational system is prone to strike actions. So you want to talk about the strike action, and you're aware of the fact that in the UK, your start date is your start date, your end date is your end date. The academic system is structured in such a way that you are almost guaranteed that you will finish at the appropriate time. But in Nigeria, educational system is not stable. The educational system is prone to strike action. A course that is meant to take a year to finish, you will probably end up using 5 years if you're not careful because of academic strike action. That's already a point on why you have decided to study in the UK and not your own home country, Nigeria. You want to say another reason why I've also decided that the UK is my final destination to study is because if I study in the UK, what I will earn will be more than what those who have local master's degree will earn because of my international experience and exposure. So if I study in the UK, for instance, my salary base will be 300% more than what someone who has a local master degree will earn, because obviously I'll be paid more for my international exposure and experience that I will bring to the table when I return back to my own country, Nigeria. So you also want to always keep buttressing the point that you're returning back home. Your plan is not to stay in the UK to work. It is very important. A lot of pre-CAS, a lot of admission has been rejected or has been withdrawn because most people say they want to stay back and work in the UK. Don't forget you're on a student visa, so you have to be educational minded, not that you are coming to the UK to work. Okay, so by giving these 2 points, you've already given 4 points in total, right? You've given 2 general points as to why you want to study in the UK, 2 points as to why you've chosen to study in the UK and not your home country, Nigeria. You want to say things like, I've considered other study destinations like Canada, Australia, and the US, but I've decided to study in the UK because the UK is home away from home for me. For instance, to study in the UK is just about a flight from Nigeria to the UK is about 6 hours. Flight from Nigeria to Australia is almost 24 hours. Flight from Nigeria to Canada is about, I think, 12 hours. To America is about 13 hours. So making the UK a more ideal option for me because I would rather be closer to home, and the UK is just 6 hours from Nigeria. So that is already another point as to why you have decided to study in the UK and not other places like Canada. Then you also want to say another reason why I've decided to study in the UK and not other top international destination is because of the time and duration of completing a UK master's degree. A UK master's degree will take 1 year to finish, but in other countries like Canada, for instance, master's degree program is usually for 2 years. And if I study my master's degree for 2 years, I'll end up paying more because I'll be paying for 2 years. But if I study in the UK, I'll just pay for a year, making it a more relatively affordable option for me to study. This is why I've chosen to study in the UK and not Australia, Canada, or other top destinations. That's already 6 points. Like, you've killed the question totally. So next time, this is just a recap. If you're being asked, why do you want to study in the United Kingdom? Give 2 general reasons as to why you want to study in the United Kingdom. And then you give 2 reasons why you want to study in the UK and not your own home country, be it Ghana, be it Nigeria, be it Cameroon, anywhere. And 2 reasons why you've chosen to study in the UK and not other top international destination. Okay, so I'm moving on to the next question. The next question they will probably ask you is, why have you chosen to study this program? Now, this is a very tricky question and you'll have to be prepared for it. First, you need to understand, what are you coming to the UK to study? I'm going to be using law as an example. Or no, let me use MBA because MBA is like a general course and most people are coming to the UK to study now. So if they ask you, why have you chosen to study this program? They are asking you for 2 major things. You need to be able to explain how relevant this course is for you and how relevant it will be for your future as well. So you want to tell them why you think you're even qualified for the program in the first place and why you think that this program is important to your life. Let me just put it that way. So if you're being asked, why have you decided to study this program? I've decided to study an MBA program because my first degree is in business administration. I graduated from the University of -- in business administration. I worked with -- company as a business administrator for 5 years, and career advancement indeed required now that I get a master's degree so that I'll be able to qualify for the promotion that I merit at my office, because one of the criteria for this promotion of executive head, or whatever you can say it is anything, but let's say of executive head in my company in XYZ in Nigeria, is that you must have a master's degree. So this is why I have decided to study this program. I believe that a master's degree in business administration will further equip me with the skills and knowledge that I require to perform in my new role as the executive assistant to the director in my company XYZ when I return back to my home country. So you've answered that question in a part. And the second thing is, when they ask you this question, they are asking you to talk about your modules. So you really need to show that you are prepared for the interview, because you must be prepared. If you fail your pre-CAS interview, some school will allow you to do it again and some will not allow you to do it again. So you want to say another reason why this course will help my future plan is because during a thorough research, I went through my modules and I saw that the modules in finance and accounting will help me understand the financial aspect of dash dash dash. Also, I went through my modules again. I discovered that the modules in financial audit will give me the required skill that I need to audit the finance of every company that I work with, this dash that. And also I went through, so you should be able to explain that it's 3 modules that are relevant to your career goal, to your career aspiration, to what you want to become. It's really important that when you're being asked, you should be able to explain the modules you want to learn and how this module will translate to the skills that you ultimately need to succeed in life. Okay, so don't forget, when you're being asked, talk about your past and how you are even qualified. It's 2 things. Even if you don't, you some people study A and then their master's is in B. So it's okay if you say, oh, my first degree is in law, but now I want to do a master's in business administration, right? So you want to say, although my first degree is in law, but however, I took a course or I work as so law firm as the commercial head. And heading the commercial aspect means that I need to understand the business aspect of the legal profession. Hence the reason why I've decided to go for my master's in business administration. So just link whatever it is you've studied or your work experience that made you qualify for the job. So you must be not the job, in this instance, qualified for a master's degree in your desired program. So you need to be able to explain that, as well as your modules. Is really important. Minimum of 3 modules you must be able to explain, because these modules ultimately translate to the skills you're coming to learn. So you should be able to explain. Next question will probably be, why have you chosen to study at this university? Now, this is one of the most easiest questions in a pre-CAS interview, and this should be very simple for everyone to answer. I'm going to be using the University of East London because that is where I finished from to answer this question. So when you're saying that, why have you decided to study this program, they are asking you, why our university? Why say na here you won't come? Why you don't go another university? So you want to start by saying, I understand the fact that there are over 100 institutions in the United Kingdom, but I've decided to settle for University of XYZ. In my case, it will be, I've decided to settle for the University of East London because of its ranking. So when they ask you why, when you're being asked, why do you want to study at this university, you have to talk about the school ranking. There's always a school ranked better than the other. So even if you're not going to Oxford University or one of those top tiers university, whatever university you're going to, there's always one below. So you want to look at your school ranking, say, oh, I've decided to study at University of East London because according to the Guardian University of East London was ranked in teaching quality and assessment. In 2010, University of East London was also ranked in this and that. University of East London was ranked. So at least you should be able to talk about 3 facts, 3 accolades, 3 rankings that you can attribute to the school. Because this question is all about giving a school the accolade, giving the school the honor. Let the school know that yes, you've done your research and this is where you want to be, this is where you want to go to. So it's important that you do your research, you talk about the school ranking. That's on the one part. So you can give like 2 rankings of the school and then talk about their facilities as well. You can go online, just Google, like for instance, why UEL, why University of East London, why University of Kent, why University of South Wales. You see those facts. It's always on the school website. You can't miss it. So you can talk about their ranking. They always put it there. And if your school has no ranking, they will have facilities. So you can talk about how much they've spent on their facilities, like their library, if it's relevant to you. And if you're studying something like maybe music, you can talk about their studio. Just give the school its accolade. That is one part of answering that question. The other part of why you have chosen this university is to now compare it with other universities in the UK. And there are 2 ways to do this comparison. You can do the comparison either by tuition. For example, I want to say I've decided to also study at the University of East London because I'm studying a master's in business administration and my tuition fee is about £16,000. The same course at University of Q, for instance, will cost me £21,000. So looking at the school, looking at that, I've decided to go with the University of East London because it's a more affordable option. Another way you can also compare the university, and please, I must mention that do not dwell too much on affordability so that you don't sound like, oh, it's because it's cheap, that's why I'm coming here, not because of anything. No. After you've given accolades, you've made comparison with the tuition, you can also talk about their modules. You want to say, another reason why I've decided to study at University of East London is I checked my course content for MBA at the University of East London and I saw that module that is present at the University of East London. I made that same comparison with University of Greenwich and I saw that those contents are not in the University of Greenwich module, and because this content or that concept of financial audit module is relevant to my career goal, I have decided to come to study at the University of East London. So you've already given 5 reasons just like that as to why you want to study at the university. 3 reasons maybe to talk about the school. 2 reasons can be for accolade, 1 can be for facility, then 1 can be for how affordable it is if the university is an affordable one, and the last one can be comparison with the course content. You say, having gone through the course module and comparing it to University of Kent, I've decided to go for University of East London because University of East London has dash module. So this is a very, very, very important question. So before I proceed further, have you guys heard about AMBA students? AMBA Students is one of the best, if not the most reliable accommodation platform for international students across the world. So if you're an international student seeking accommodation in the UK, it is time for you to go and search on AMBA. The details and everything will be in my description box. Don't forget to sign up. Another point you can buttress on when you're being asked why have you decided to study at this university is the location. For example, University of East London is located in London. So I want to say another reason why I've decided to study at the University of East London is because of its location. It's located in London. London transport system is one of the best in the world. Just want to talk about London and why London is a desirable place to study, something like that. Okay, all right, the next question you'll probably be asked is, how will this course help your future plan? So now when they are being asked how will this course help your future plan, they are asking you for 3 major things: your short-term goal, your long-term goal, and your future salary projection. Okay, we're looking at MBA, even though I never studied an MBA, I studied law, but we're looking at MBA here, right, as our example. If you've applied for an MBA and you're being asked how will the course help your future plan, you want to say my short-term goal is to return back to my own country, Nigeria, and to take up an executive role as the managing head of XYZ company, which has always been my dream, blah 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 blah. So you want to tell them, oh, your short-term goal is this, you have a role you immediately need to take as soon as you return to Nigeria. Your long-term goal, you can want to start a consultancy firm or become the managing director at one of the top global firms. Just be sure that whatever it is realistic, and then it is not, unrealistic, right? You want to also mention the name of the company. You want to say, oh, my long-term goal is to become a director at NAFTA. Just know what your long-term goal is, your short-term goal, your long-term goal. And you want to say another reason why this course will help my future plan is because when I return back to my home country, Nigeria, I will be earning 300% more or 200% more than what I currently earn, because I already have a foreign master's degree as well as foreign exposure that will come in handy when executing my roles. So these are very important. These are just the 3 things that would help you answer that question. So probably the next question would be, how are you funding your studies? Now, this is a very tricky question, and I've seen where several students that have tried to prep will say, oh, my auntie is sponsoring me, my uncle is sponsoring me. If you say that in your pre-CAS interview, read my lips, you will fail. Automatic failure, and I mean it, because according to UKVI, you can either sponsor yourself or your parents will sponsor you, or your spouse if you're married. So there's no such thing as my fiancé is paying my school fees. No, it has to be either your legal partner, the one recognized by the law, your spouse, or yourself, or your parents, even if it's your sister that is paying the tuition fee. So you should be able to provide these answers. So when they ask you, it's a very simple but yet very tricky answer. Who is funding your studies? You want to say that I am self-funding my studies, having saved for over 5 years after graduation, something like that. Or you want to say my parents will be funding my studies. My parents are running a building estate business or running a company or civil servants, whatever it is your parents are doing. But let's say, oh, my parents will be funding me. They are into so, and they've saved enough for my studies. So, or you say, oh, my husband will be sponsoring me, he works at so and he has saved enough for my studies. But never give an answer like my auntie is sponsoring me, my uncle is, even if they are the one paying your tuition. So always keep that I'm self-sponsoring myself, my parents is sponsoring me. Sometimes my husband or wife is sponsoring me, but it's important that you do not mention anybody else aside from these 3 answers that I've given, right? Once they ask you, questions like that, the next question they'll probably ask you is your maintenance. How do you plan to maintain yourself? How do you plan to pay for your tuition? What are your maintenance fee? How much do you think you need for your tuition, your maintenance and accommodation while in the UK? This is a very tricky question, especially if they added accommodation. First, you need to understand the fact that your accommodation is always included in your maintenance fee. Okay, ensure that you do not provide a separate calculation for accommodation at all. So you want to say, if you're going to East London, I don't know how much their tuition is, but okay, let's just say if you're going to any university and the tuition is like £15,000, so you want to say something like, my tuition is £15,000, right? And if the university, you need to answer this question, you need to know your tuition and the maintenance cost of where you are, like the location you will be. So if you're in London, you want to know that that's 12,006 for the duration of your course, and if you're outside London, that's 9,207 for the duration of your course. And you also need to understand that maintenance is being calculated for just 9 months and not 12 months, like 9 months. So if your school is in London, which is what we're using for this video, you want to say my tuition fee is £15,000 and I'll be schooling in London. My maintenance fee for the duration of my studies is 12,006. I already paid my tuition deposit of £5,000, so I have my tuition balance of £10,000 as well as my maintenance of 12,006. In total, I have the maintenance of 22,006 to pay. My Naira account, I have the sum of 25 million Naira to cover for these expenses, already saved in my account to cover for these expenses. And if you're not sure of how much you need for your maintenance, double check with someone that knows how to calculate, especially if you're outside London. What you had is the 9,200 and 9,207 plus the whatever your outstanding balance is. But please, for maintenance, ensure that you double check, because if your maintenance is less than £1, you've automatically failed your pre-CAS interview. Okay, if you're traveling with dependents, if it's in London, one dependent will cost 7,605, outside London 6,120, so add that as well. So the next tricky question they could ask you is, do you plan to work part-time in the UK? This is also very tricky. It is best for you to say no. Honestly, you just want to say, I will not be working part-time in the UK because my parents have already sorted out my tuition, my maintenance fee, so I have enough. All I'm just coming to the UK to do is to focus on my education. However, if I would be working in the UK, I'll be working just to gain practical experience only, which I know would come in valuable when I return back to my home country, Nigeria. If you want to answer yes, you can say that yes, I'll be working part-time in the UK. And I'm aware that international students are only entitled to 20 hours per week in the UK. However, I'll be working for only the purpose of gaining, valuable experience, as I already have more than enough to cater for my tuition fee as well as my tuition balance. Okay, so it's very important that you don't make it seem like you coming to work in the UK is the main thing, even if that is your main goal. We don't have to know that. Okay, just say that you're not coming to work in the UK, and even if you're coming to work, it's just for experience. You have more than enough that will cover for your tuition and your maintenance. Okay, another tricky question you might be asked has to do with accommodation, which is very important. They will ask you, where do you plan to live in the UK? And I've seen a lot of people fail pre-CAS because of this question, because they will tell you, oh, I want to stay with my auntie, I want to stay with my uncle. No, you don't even want to give an hint of you staying with any family at all when you come to the UK. All right, so you want to say something like, oh, I've done my research and I'll be staying at. Yes, it's very important that you give an example of where you're staying at. So we're going to be using Amber Student Accommodation for this demonstration. All you want to do is go to YouTube, right? Then type Yettysplash, right? And then go to, once you see Yettysplash, click on any of my recent video at all, any of it. Once you click on any of my recent video, let me show you one. Yes, this is the most recent one. You're going to see seeking accommodation in the description box. Even if you click on this video that I'm currently editing, that once I've posted it, click on seeking accommodation and then go straight to Amber Home. You see the link there. Once you click on it, it takes you straight to Amber Home. You see Yettysplash there. Then you type the university. So in this case, we're using University of East London, right? So that's what I did. I typed the University of East London. You can see the accommodation. This accommodation is about 2 miles from the school. So you just want to click on it. There's always an address on the accommodation. Now, this is at Arrington House in Central London, City Road, London. This is the postcode EC1V2PQ London. So you want to write down the address and everything. So when being asked, you can say you'll be staying at that location for the purpose of your studies, and it is about 20 minutes away from the university, Let's also look for another accommodation. There's another accommodation that is close as well. Yes, this is also close as well. Look at it. Chapter King Cross Road. It's about 1.4 miles from the university. Look at the full address. So you write them down, you write the full address and the postcode. So you tell the interviewer, I found an accommodation at Chapter King Cross, London. Postcode this dash is about maybe 20 minutes away from the university via train, and I'll be staying in this accommodation, and the cost of my accommodation has been included in my maintenance fee. So you want to say something like that. Don't forget to book your accommodation on Amber Homes now. Voila, that is it. So once you've gone on Amber Student, ensure that you have a location. Even if you've not booked your accommodation yet, ensure that you have a location to tell your interviewer that you'll be staying at. So if you're being asked, if you're still using University of East London as an example, and you're being asked where would you stay, you have to have a very specific address that you're staying at, a very specific location. So you want to say, I'll be staying at E15 2DY Pontoon Dock Kinikon dash. Just give a very straight, and precise location that you'll be saying, because you don't want to say something like, oh, I've not started out my accommodation, because at the point of pre-CAS interview, they want to be sure that you're ready for your visa application, you're ready that you want to come into the UK, and they understand the fact that there's no other bridge in the UK as well. So accommodation is an integral part of your process, of your planning process. So give them a definite address, give them a very precise location that yes, this is where you'll be staying. Even if you don't end up staying there eventually, it doesn't matter. But the point is, at the point of your interview, you've already made plans that this is where you want to stay, okay? And ensure that wherever it is you say you're staying is not far from the university. You can't be coming to London and be giving them an address in Manchester. They'll tell you no, because it's not a distance you can apply every day. Do you understand? So you want to give them a location that yes, you know that this is where you're going to stay. This is where you can commute. So you want to say, I'll be staying at that Pontoon Dock. It is just 10 minutes via train to the school, okay, or 10 minutes walk to the school, or 10 minutes via bus to the school. So you want to tell them where you're staying, you want to tell them the distance of that place to the university, and your means of transportation. So it's very important. Then you can say this accommodation is about £400 a month, which I know my maintenance will cover. Simple as that. And I think there's no way, once you've answered all these questions, this is probably all the questions that you'll be asked in a pre-CAS interview. So guys, if you have any question for me, please let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to check out Amber. Really important, especially for your accommodation purposes in the United Kingdom. And they have the best form of accommodation there on. They have the most affordable you can even find in anywhere in the UK on Amber Homes. And the earlier you book, the better for you, because accommodation goes like quickly on Amber. Anyways guys, till I come your way next time, don't forget to please like, subscribe, share. Remain your one and only baby girl Yeti, and stay blessed. Bye guys.